Hey everyone, this is Tim Shorts of Gothridge, Manor, and today I'm going to be doing my third video in this series on the starter set, The Heroes of the Borderlands. This one will be featuring the wilderness section of it, the sort of shortest section. So stick around, and I hope you'll join me in going over this in detail. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'm going to go through the Wilderness Adventure booklet from the Heroes of the Borderlands starter set. In my previous videos, I did an unboxing where I went through the physical aspects of the starter set. In my last video, I went through the quests that are given in the keep. I plan to go in depth about this wilderness section too. Go through everything again, guys. I'm not going to go into the rules because I don't know them, but I make suggestions that I think that will improve the usage of the skills. I have played in 5e campaigns in the past for ones that have lasted a couple of years, but that still does not make me a expert in these, especially the newer rules. Now, warning: I will spoil everything. So if you're intending to play in this, please don't listen. Go away. Go play a video game and let your GM surprise you with some fun things that are in here. And on my screen right now, we've got the maps. You have the old-timey map, which is over to the right side, black and white, and then the newer version, which is in color and to the left. There's not too much difference between the two maps. The only thing that I can see that's different, I'm not sure why that is, but I'm going to do some research into it, so I'm hoping I have some sort of reason in my next video for when I do cover the Caves of Chaos. A couple of critiques about the maps. One of the biggest things are, or has been, and this goes through for the old map too. The scale's very small. For this one, I think it's what. Let me move my head here, guys. Squish my head down. So 1 square equals 100 yards, so 300 feet. And then this one has a stupid measuring thing beneath. It's so tough to do. I guess it's every, what is that? Maybe quarter of an inch or something like that is 500 feet. But at the end of the day, it pretty much ends up the same way. So you end up having, I think it's 2.2 miles to the Caves of Chaos when you round it down. So it's about an hour's walk away. If that, and so it's not too far. And the wilderness section is divided up into the trail, the woods, the fens, and the tamarack. The other critique about the maps, and again, this is for both of them, this whole southern map section doesn't need to be here. Not that I think for this, because one, that river's pretty damn big to try to get across, especially with newbie characters. And there's nothing really for the characters to explore or reason to explore. Why would they go down there? Unless you create something for them to go down there. And there's nothing in this adventure and there's nothing in the old adventure that would make you come down here. It wouldn't serve any purpose except to put your characters in extra risk or whatever. So I think it would have been a smarter idea just to cut it in half, have the keep on the Borderlands in the lower left hand, and then keep the Caves of Chaos in the upper right hand, and then have some fun in between. I'd even had the trail maybe wind through the woods a little bit, just so you can have some sort of reason to explore the woods. Because if you think about it, going into the woods doesn't really serve a purpose either, and there's no purpose in this to go into the woods either. So staying on the trail seems to be the smartest bet. But then there's that, and then some physical aspects of this. So the keep booklet came in at 18 pages. The Caves of Chaos comes in at 26. This is 14 pages. So this is the smallest booklet in the 3 booklets that you get in there. But there is a good amount of content. So And then my last critique of this is I think it would have served them well to have done hexes. Uh, I know 5e is not, is from what I remember and understand, it's not big into hex exploration. They don't get into that too much. But I think it's a skill that is great to have. I think new GMs should learn how to use it because it's such a rich, I don't know what you want to call it, rich field to grow things out of if you do these explorations. And this is a beautiful situation to create that. And then the other thing, it would have served, I believe, their quests and encounters in here much better because then there could have been set pieces like in certain hexes, like you'll meet the bandits in this, the bandit camps in this one, there's lizard men in this one, and then it has some nice random tables in the back that could fill in maybe some of the other hexes as they go along. But that's my opinion for that. So all right, let's get moving on to the first of the 4 that I'm going to cover, and that's the trail. Regions has 4 set encounters in it, and you randomly roll them. These are the ones I thought could have been better as set pieces and hexes, but I'm gonna kind of go with what it is. So this is the first region. It's a long and winding road. There are 4 encounters, and you can roll or select which ones you prefer. So the first one is the looted wagon. No horses, no driver. Just the wagon is there. Bandits led by the name of Prawl attacked it and did that. The situation is resolved by 3 choice rolls. Investigation to figure out if that the wagon was attacked by bandits. Again, this isn't a useful roll for this. This is something that could have been, and I'm kind of leaking into some of here's what I do, but in this situation, it's a useless roll. It should be, investigation. It should be obvious things going on. Maybe they see arrows in the side of the wagon. The reins are cut where the horse was tethered to the wagon, and some obvious things. The one clue that they do add is a second one, which is a survival footprint. But I don't know. I think that would be more of a perception one. So, but whatever. The second roll is to find a footprint with a letter P engraved into the sole of the boot. Now that's a good one because then that gives you kind of information that matters that you might miss, and it won't bottleneck the adventure if you don't find that. So that one I don't mind. And then they have a perception roll. Again, I don't like this one, but if you make your perception roll, you end up finding 12 gold pieces that are in a bunch of sacks and crates and everything. But I'm thinking if the party is investigating these sacks and crates, coins make a very distinct sound when they hit each other. So as long as if they're doing like searching through stuff, I would just let them find it because I don't know, the perception roll doesn't seem to make sense here. And I think I kind of went through all the different ones for that. But one of the details that makes no sense to me is that the bandit took the horses, but they left behind the feed, the hay, and the supplies, the flour. It would have made more sense at the bandits to take the wagon also because the wagon's valuable and it can help them transport their stuff back and forth. So it makes no sense. Now that survival roll, have them follow the wagon trail through the wilderness because that's going to leave some sort of trail or whatever, and then maybe they come up on the bandits camp and then they can be proactive in this situation instead of waiting for a random encounter or them just being passive as they walk up the trail and get encountered by them. So I think adding those elements would have helped. Would have been harder to, of course, find them. I think, but they could have followed the trail of the wagon. So instead of being an encounter of the ambush wagon, it could be more that they find tracks of the wagon. And then, if I remember correctly, there was a wagon from, I think it's the trader that they were waiting for. That's nowhere to be found in this, and I think that was a good opportunity. And I continue to harp on this, and I will say this: we want to make sure there's some connection between the keep and the world around it, and that way it tethers it in, and it makes sense, and it makes the players more engaged into the world because now they're seeing the connections between the two things. The trader needs a wagon. Well, maybe this is the trader's wagon that they've been waiting for, and now we know why it didn't arrive on time. All right, now the second encounter is Malin, the talkative traveler. This one's a little fun. This one's interesting, role playing one. She wants the players to tell her stories of heroes, and because this is, but I would delay this one a little bit because I mean, if they're first level and they really haven't done too much, what do they? They're gonna tell tales of how they found goats. I don't know, but maybe wait till they gain a level so then they can make up some stuff. But here's the fun part: you can do two different choices. You can do the deception where you just make stuff up, which is fun. I kind of like that. Now this is the case where I wouldn't have the players roll deception yet. I would allow them to tell their stories, and if they do a really good job, allow them to roll with advantage. But if they don't do so well, and then they fail, then Malin may call bullshit on them, which is fun either way, I think. So, and then everyone, let me see, and then this is another thing I don't like. So, everyone gets to roll this check. Then that's not advantage. That's not double advantage. It's like triple advantage, or however it works out to be. I mean, instead of rolling 2 dice, basically you're rolling 4 dice if you have a party of 4. So if you're gonna make everybody roll, just allow it to succeed, because it doesn't make any sense. And really the only consequence is if she likes your story, she gives you 10 gold pieces, and that she found, by the way, which is weird. It's a weird detail, or nothing. So I don't know. I would give Malin information about the location of the bandits, because that would be some of interest. And maybe she saw them running into the woods or hooting and hollering and getting drunk, and she knows enough to stay out of the way or whatever. And then that gives the party a lead on maybe to find the driver, maybe find the horses, because the driver's just gone. We don't know where the driver is in this thing. There's no explanation of where he is. And then once you get to the Caves of Chaos, but there's no real way to direct the party to go into a level of appropriate caves, because for those who know, there's several caves up there. And if they go into the wrong cave at the wrong level at the wrong time, they're going to go dark real quick. They're going to be assuming room temperature in a matter of their first combat or something. So what they could do is Malin could say that I saw goblins go into this cave by the green or red bush or something like that, to give them maybe some guidance on where to go, give them an informed decision to make, allow them to do that and gather that information. And it's good to have the players just glean that extra information from NPCs if it's available. All right, now the third encounter is the game trail. The party sees a big-ass elk. They scare it. And in doing so, they get to meet a frustrated Haldrick. Haldrick is the innkeeper in the keep. Now, we got a little bit of a tie-in, but I think they could have taken it a step farther. So you've disturbed his hunting grounds, but first you have to go through the thicket to find him. So you have to do a survival roll to weave your way, to find this opening where he's hanging out, and a nature roll to avoid the thorns. And this roll has some consequence, but the thorns do 1d4 points of damage. That's pretty nasty. Those thorns must be like dozens of little daggers stabbing into you. Because 1 to 4, and I don't know what the power level is for 5th edition. I know it's higher about low level folks, but 1 to 4, that can kill a first level mage uh, very quickly in most other games. So I'd lower it down to 1 hit point for that. And then the party finds the innkeeper, is out hunting. He likes doing it. It's his like time to blow off. But what he's doing it for, and this is things I would add. Run with the elk thing that's already there. You know, use Aldrich and everything. And then what he's doing is he's trying to get supplies for this festival that's coming up. And this elk is going to be like the grand meal of it, you know, coming out with this, you know, let's call it a spit roasted elk that'll be rotating all day long and people will just be anticipating eating it. But now the party's scared away, so now what they need to do is go help them out. So they just have to use maybe some survival skills, track it down, and get it. Who knows? They might not get it. Elks are not easy to get. But if they don't, so in that situation, they have a way to get an ally with Aldrich by bringing in this elk and for the festival, and everybody will be happy, and you know that they were the ones who brought it in, which is cool because now people are getting to know them for their abilities. Or if they screw it up and don't get the elk, then Aldrich has to, like, I don't know, go serve leftover mashed potatoes for the rest of the festival. And, you know, leftover mashed potatoes is good, but, you know, that's not what you want as your main dish. All right, next one. I think it's the last one, is the bandit ambush. This one's important. I think I screwed this up already. So there's the bandit ambush. All right. So in running this, let's see, I lost it again. So you get the battle map. So what they do for the starter set is they give you a one battle map per section, and you use it for 2 of these different encounters that are sort of possibly combat oriented. And they're nice maps. They're serviceable. Nothing too fancy about them, but you know they're nice, especially with the you can put on the table and engage some players with the visual, and they have good tokens for them too. I like the tokens a lot too. This is when they get to meet Prawl. I like Prawl. Prawl would be a fun NPC to run. He's arrogant. It's fun. They don't, and I don't think he finished to get his introduction done before the party attacked him. Anyways, I would hope they allow him to, put on a short show before they try to riddle him with arrows. And then there's his buddies in hiding. Now there's a paragraph about adjusting the difficulty for this encounter, and they do this throughout. The one thing that they don't really do is kind of give you a scale. Maybe they just say increase it if it looks too easy, or decrease it if it's too hard. But I don't know. It's too generic for that. I think if the party is maybe a second level party coming through now, increase it 1 to 2 more bandits. If they're third level, add another 1 to 2 bandits. Give them some sort of scale if this is a starter set. So a new DM would have something to reference by, and they can learn from it. And this way, it gives them just a little bit of an advice to go with it and everything. Okay, so during this, they have an influence action. I don't know what that is, but I guess that's in the, I don't know, the turn sequence. There's an influence action. That you can avoid the fight by using deception and telling them that you're a fellow bandit. Okay, that's cool. But again, I would do the same thing as mail-in, because 5th edition players are so fast. It's like, oh, I rolled a 7. I'm going to try to deceive them. And then they just roll. They don't tell how. So I would very much encourage people, have them role play it out before they roll. Or you can use persuasion to convince violence isn't necessary, or intimidation to have Prawl reconsider the ambush. If any of these are successful, Prawl lets them through. If the party fails their roll, combat starts. There's a statement that they're not murderers, so if a character is struck down, they fall unconscious, which is fair. That doesn't bother me too much. Here's the strange part, though. The bandit's treasure is stashed in the bushes. Okay, uh, they don't have the party to roll to find the stash, and that's fine. But it's not consistent with the other situations, like finding, noisy coins in a crate, but you're gonna find this treasure that's buried under a bush somewhere, or that you would have no idea where to look for it at all at first. But that's okay. I don't mind that. And then the players, if they do end up defeating or taking out the bandits or something like that, then they end up getting a magic item too, which is cool. But in this case, like all cases, old school was notorious for this too. Like monsters would have, like orcs would have a treasure, and then all of a sudden you'd see one would have like a giant strength potion, and the other one would have a +1. They're like in this chest. Why would they be using that stuff? Maybe they don't know what the potion is, but I'd have them use them. So if they draw out the magic item ahead of time, don't do it there, because if it's a +1 short sword, Prowl's going to be using that thing. It's not going to be sitting in a hole under a bush. So I don't know. Be smart about it, I think. I would take this information about Prawl as a DM and make it a wanted poster also in the end. It doesn't seem that the game wants to involve killing at this point, so just have it say he's wanted alive, 10 gold pieces, because that seems to be about the range that they give out in this one. And again, it ties the keep to the wilderness, like wanted Prawl, and then have 10 gold, an old Western wanted poster on there. Those are fun. People, I think, really like those, and they get to engage in them. And hell, do it on the computer, and that gives them another handout to engage with. And then something the writers forgot about, and I've already discussed this, but it's like, where'd the horses and the driver go in this wagon? So if they encounter them, where are the driver? Where are the horses? Where are they at in conjunction with the bandits? I mean, is the driver coming into the keep bloodied maybe the next time they go in and they see the driver and he's got blood all over him, and he starts telling him about Prawl and what he did? Or in this case, maybe the horses are over to the right somewhere, and you can hear them. They're tied to a tree, and they're making lots of noise and kicking grass and whatnot. Or maybe Prawl uses them to get away fast if it looks like the situation's going to shit. So a little work in these elements would make this much more interesting, much more in depth. I think the surface is there for these encounters, but with just a little bit more work, I think they can make them fully realized encounters. Is the woods that's between the keep and the caves of chaos and everything, and again four different encounters. And the first one is the hermit's hut, where they meet Xanth. I think that's how you say it. Who was exiled from the keep. She's cranky at first. She believes the party came here to give her some shit. If a persuasion roll goes well, they get an invite into the hut and gain some information. What I would do, keep the adventures simple. I would give her some sort of fetch quest that the party can do with her to make her them useful. Go get some magic berries from the dingleberry bush, and be careful of the mini boars, because the mini boars love that stuff. I'm making a mini because they're a little less certain. And then who likes little tiny pigs? So they're looking to like tiny boars too. Make them just a low threat. And one of them's probably going to try to befriend one or raise it. Maybe if you have a halfling in the party, maybe they'll tame it and ride it into battle. And then if they return with the berries, maybe she provides them with a monetary reward. So the important thing is they'll gain an ally in this. So they've interacted with an NPC that's stationed in the woods. That could be a source of information going forth. And that's very, very handy. And who knows, maybe Xanth knows how to brew a potion or two. And she could assist with maybe getting him a healing potion or some sort of healing or some sort of magic item. Like maybe they do a quest or two, like the first fetch quest they do. She kind of gives them the standard 10 gold pieces. But then the second time, maybe she'll ask them to do something else. But when they come back this time, I would go through the magic items and then pick out maybe a magic potion or maybe a magic scroll. And that's what the reward is. And that, because they're going to need as much ammo going into the Caves of Chaos as they can get their hands on. All right, the next one, and the map's up here for this one, the Occult Ritual. This one they really missed the mark on. I think this one makes no sense to me. So the Occult Ritual is being held around an ancient statue because they never do it around new ones. It's got to be old and crappy and, bird shit all over it. And this one's part of the Cult of Chaos. So you got everybody in their cult jammies, chanting around the ancient bird shit covered statue, and they keep on chanting until the ritual is complete or interrupted. Now there's another paragraph about adjusting the difficulty in this one too. So I guess add more cultists if 4 are not enough. Add a 5th or a 6th or take them down. The other thing they do also suggest adding, I like, is maybe add some zombies. And what situation couldn't be improved with more zombies? If the party, it's possible that the party found robes in the caves, and they can disguise themselves, which would be fun. If the ritual is complete, the runes glow, as they always seem to do, and sky darkens, the statue splits into 2, and something with a spooky laugh is set free. After that, the cultists leave. And it's sort of like, okay. The cult unleashes some sort of malignancy into the woods. There's no mention as to what it is or what it does. The cultists just grab their leftover picnic baskets and leave as if nothing happened. A severe lack of guidance here. Here you have this cool situation, this cool thing, and they just, I don't know. It's like an episode of Lost where they just have weird things happen but never have any real reason for it. What do I do? First of all, have this creepy setting and something is going down. For whatever reason, they hand wave it. Stat up some incorporate undead. I went into the 5e, looked around, and I thought maybe a shadow or specter would do in this case. I wouldn't have the undead attack the party, but instead attack the cultists. Have the party watch as the cultists get their ass tore up. Then it escapes back into the forest. Now you've got this thing, this monster, this, maybe it tore through all 4 of the cultists, wiped them out, very quickly, and then it disappears. Now when the party goes to the woods, they got to worry about this crazy thing that jumped out of the statue waiting for them, possibly. I love that. So they should have did something a little bit more creative with this one. I don't know why they didn't. All right. Anyways, the next one. Third encounter is the Sacred Spring. Remember those beginning days when you were young and adventurer and you came across your first pool of water? Yeah. Nostalgia. Drinking from the spring heals you. No randomizations to screw with you. Just straight heal. I like this one. Cool thing is a source where you can destroy the chaos spell too. What would I do? Nothing. I like the way it stands. It provides something to the party and it is connected to the big ending. The only details I would add into this though is what's going to happen is the party's going to go to the keep and buy 14 cases of empty vials, and then they're going to try to drain the spring with healing potions, because that's what we do. Maybe just have it so they can only, I wouldn't do it so like the spring, like if you remove it from the spring it's no good anymore. That's always boring. But maybe it's something along the lines of you can only use these healing potions once per day. That's all they're good. So if you drink a second one, it just hydrates you. It doesn't really heal anything. But I like it. I love a good pool. I'm glad they added one of those. All right, the next encounter is the Sparring Sprites, and the map reflects that. Let's see here. The Sacred Spring, I already did that one. There we go. And there's 4 sprites going at it. I don't know what they're doing. If they're having slap fights or kick fights, I don't know. But they're, I guess, beating each other up. When the party comes along, they challenge them. I would do your best Randy Macho Man Savage imitation to start this. Have this little sprite there with little bandana going, "I'm gonna tell you, brother." That's so bad, I know. 4 sprites are going at it. Challenge to see if they'd like to take part in it. It's a gentleman's fight. No death, just to unconscious. So you just smack the shit out of each other, and then win or lose, the sprites reward the party with a magic item. Okay, I'm not a big fan of this one. It's okay. I know they get a magic item, but it doesn't seem to serve a purpose other than to have a Fey encounter in the woods, which is fine. But maybe they have some information. For this one, I would love to see them have some information, maybe about the Caves of Chaos. Ask them about that. I think because the magic item, of course, is hugely helpful, but I think information is what's lacking in this, and the party's going towards the Caves of Chaos with little to no knowledge, and this could be an encounter where that happens. And I think this whole booklet, the Wilderness booklet, could use like a D10 rumor table. So some of these NPCs, if they talk to, whether it's, the Malin who's wants stories, or Xanth who is the hermit, or these sprites, maybe there's a chance if they roll successful, or just treat them decently, or maybe do them a favor, they get more of these rumors. And then that would help them go along. Not, like good old days. Not all the rumors have to be true. They can be a little skewed, so they're false, which that makes it fun too. So, So that ends the wood section. South into the fens. Again, I'm not sure why the party would want to come down here, but here it is. I never understood that in the original one either. But that's okay. There's couple interesting things in here. So the first one is the Flock of Sturges. Let me switch this. There we go. Flock of Sturges. This is a straight out harassment counter. The party chomps through the muck and mire, and giant mosquitoes rise from the tall grass and attack. Now, personally, I love Sturges in game. I use them as much as possible. And then they said if you want to adjust the difficulty level to add a Null Warrior. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm not really sure why they did that. I would just add more Sturges. They're mosquitoes, so they're going to be everywhere. So just do that. Don't listen to them. Now, what do? Did I say I love Sturges? I do love them. And I like how the encounter is written. But let's say the party is hurting. Say the party's coming out, and you know these Sturges are going to be too much because the party's they're coming from the Caves of Chaos, or they just encountered a group that beat them up, and they're trying to get back home. So maybe what I would do is because there's lizard folk in this fens too. So maybe you have a lizard folk warrior battling the Sturges, or maybe they're just sitting on his dead body, sucking the last bit of it out of him, and they have time to run away, and when they can see that there's Sturges there. So, all right, and the next part is the Lizard Folk Swamp. I think that's the next one here, guys. Here we go. Again, same map, just used a little bit differently. The Lizard Folks are hidden when the party comes across them. They tell the party to go away if they don't fight. Perception roll is used to detect the hidden lizard folk, so I guess they're hiding in the weeds and reeds and different places. I'm sure they can blend very well in this. Now this time, I think it's appropriate for perception. This is a good time to use that. And then there's consequences if the roll failed. And it says that they're protecting a 20 gold piece gem, or 20 gold pieces and a gem. And this is what I would do. I'm not sure how much lizard folk will get from a pile of gold. why they're guarding 20 gold pieces. Where are they going to spend it? Maybe something, but maybe add something else. Maybe they're guarding a clutch of eggs. They are protecting the next generation. But I know why this will never be put into an adventure, because it brings up the conundrum of killing the non-existent babies of imaginary lizard people. Do you kill the orc babies? Do you kill the lizard eggs? But I think this is a wonderful addition to do. One, it's going to matter to the lizard folk. They're going to fight, and they're going to fight to the death because they know that these are their kids that are coming up. And then it'll be up to the party. It's more of a morality play, and they're an alignment test on what they do with these eggs. It's not a problem for the DM to solve. It's just a problem to present to the players and allow them to take what actions they seem necessary for their characters. That's all. And if they end up, selling them and scrambling them up, making lizard folk omelets out of them, that's okay. They're imaginary. Okay? Next one, third one's spy campsite. Jacko is a spy for hire that lives here. Odd. It is odd that he lives all the way in this fens. And now, if he's for hire, why is all the way down there? Why wouldn't he be at the keep or somewhere near? I don't know. This one's a little odd. Again, another perception roll. You come up on his camp. He's nowhere to be found, but he's kind of like hiding in the weeds. But if you make your survival perception, you can see a glint in the reeds, which is his blade. Or survivor roll spots tracks to his hiding spot. Okay. But if we meet Jacko's pleasant enough. He'll hire on and get into one fight for 25 gold pieces, which is kind of expensive compared to the party only gets like 10 gold pieces for stuff that they do. But okay. They'll help with one fight, and then he returns to his camp. And then he can be revisited and rehired. Here's what I would do. First of all, the way they present Jacko, if he can be hired for a fight, then he's not a spy. He's more of a mercenary. Let's call him what it is. The other thing is the 25 gold. If you're going to hire him on as a mercenary, have him be able to fight maybe 2 or 3. He'll get into 2 or 3 fights, help out 2 or 3 fights with the party. And once there's 2 or 3 fights on, they'll either have to pay him another 25 gold, or he just returns back to his place. And again, I think this is another opportunity for the players maybe to get some information. Less so because he's so far south, but who knows? Maybe he knows something from just living out in the woods here. And then the last one is the sword ferns. I kept on calling them the fens the other way. So sword ferns, this is the make a nature check roll to ID these ferns that will tear your ass up. You do not want to fail this one. And I think that's a good roll for that one. If you succeed, then you can roll athletics to hack your way through the ferns. Now we're back into dumb rolls, I think. They are ferns. If the person identifies them, I think that's a good roll, because if you don't, you walk into them like, oh. But I mean, once you find out and they're ferns and you got a sword or an axe and you're hacking at them, you really don't need to roll an athletics check. You just do it. But here's the nasty part. If they fail, the party takes 1d6 points of damage. And again, maybe I'm thinking, Shadow Dark and OSE and stuff like that. 1d6 points of damage will kill a cleric, kill a mage, kill a thief, if they get some bad rolls, by walking into ferns. As much as that is funny, put that on their death card, death by fern. I don't think I've ever had a character die by a fern, although I like the idea of it. So let's keep the ferns nasty. This is what I would do. Keep the ferns nasty, but lower the damage to 1 to 4. So they're still bad, but maybe won't kill everybody. And the checks are at a DC 15. I'd lower them down to a 12, just so it's a little bit easier for them. And then decorate the sword ferns with maybe some animal life, because maybe a deer running through here wouldn't, of course, recognize it. As soon as it goes through, whoop, there goes a leg and it falls. And so now you've got this deer in 3 different pieces laying in these ferns, and that might give the players hopefully an idea, or it might just lure them in there and that. But have more than a deer. Maybe there's a rabbit that's kind of just impaled itself from the tip of a fern, and he's just kind of there, just to let them know that, shit's about to go down if you walk into this place. So, all right, that's it for the fern now, or fens. On to the last one, guys. Fourth and final section of the wilderness. All right. You travel through a gorge and the flash fire roars at the party. You have 3 choices of skills, tests you can make to avoid athletics, acrobatics, and survival. On a fail, the character takes 2d6 points of damage. Remember what I said about the ferns and the 1d6? Yeah, your whole party's going to die if you fail in this one. Yeah. And that's it. Basically, a flash fire goes through the gorge, and if you don't climb out somehow, you are screwed. But here's what I would do, because this is an all or nothing. I mean, let's face it, this is almost like a save versus death roll in a lot of ways, the old school stuff. But I'm okay with those, but here's what I would do. I love that they add these natural encounters, like the sword fens and I can't remember what the other one that they had. I like those ones. Those are good. However, I would add signs for the party, like I was talking about the deer for the sword ferns. I would have, if you've ever seen a fire from a pine tree, or a fire from pine needles, lots and lots and even more smoke. I mean, they smoke a lot. So the party would see this wall of smoke coming down their way. So that would give them time. Have a time element. Maybe roll 1d4. That's how many rounds before this fire goes through. So that gives them to maybe come up with something to get out of there, or strategize it, and how the hell we're going to get out of this gorge and not get burned up. And then that way, like if they figure out a way, maybe they have a grappling hook and some rope that they can hurry up, do a hook around a tree, and then try to climb up, so they'll be out, kind of give them an advantage through maybe one of their rolls or something like that. So yeah, it's nasty one. Now we got the map up here, which is the giant spider's nest, which is, there's 2 of them. The webs are laced with within big trees, and the spiders will attack. There's advice on what happens if the party tries to burn the webbing, and they will do this. There are rules about becoming restrained. This one is one of those encounters where those with some experience will make short work of it, or if they have little to no experience, will have a tough, if not deadly, fight on their hands. And the party gains a magic item from the deck again. So, it's definitely, it's got a reward to it. What I would do. At first I said I would leave it alone, but I would add some ordinary adventuring equipment within the web, below, above. But here's what I would kind of do, is have a piece of parchment or something hanging in the web above there. Whether it's a magic scroll, or maybe it's a map, or maybe it's some important document that needs to be recovered, or something like that. So that gives the party pause before they just burn the web and then burn this what could possibly be a treasure for them. I mean, I like the idea of a buried treasure map, but that means more work for the GM, but that's okay. Do the work. Players will love it. And it also makes this encounter a little bit more interesting, because now they're going to hesitate before they just go straight to the fire. So the next one is the Hobgoblin Patrol. And these guys are pissed, and they're looking for a fight. They provide an eavesdropping opportunity. You got to do a stealth check that gains the party useful information about the Caves of Chaos, and they get a few gold pieces and treasure. Here's what I would do. I like the direct hostility of this one. There's no, no magic, what do they call it? Influence action on this one. These goblins have no interest in surrendering, but I wouldn't make it complicated. The element of tying this encounter with the cave is enough. So you could have that. I like this encounter because it shows sometimes you just have to. I mean, the party can still use the subdual or whatever rules that they have for it, but I like the idea of there are just monsters out there, and I know they, made the orcs goofy in this generation of gaming and stuff, but what the orcs served in the past was just basically they were abominations of nature. All right, now this pine seeds one. Okay, this is the last one, and this is another nature encounter, which I like. This one's weird. This one I don't believe is much of an encounter. This should just be part of. Oh, this is the tamarack stand. I don't think I said that. The tamarack stand. So there's red and green ones, and if they roll nature, they can see which ones are edible, and if they roll survival, they see that the animals are eating all the green ones. And then if they eat a red one, then players get the poison condition. Here's what I would do. I don't know if I'd include this encounter into this. I'd make something else that's a little bit more useful, but have this as an element. And I don't know, having the rolls of it. This could be some of the information. This could be on the rumor table. Don't eat the red seeds. Eat the green seeds, or you get the runs or something like that. Because it doesn't add anything. It's not an encounter. It's just a thing that it's a feature of the tamarack stand, and I think that's good enough. I think if you want to add that, please add it, because I think it's good. It adds a little feature to this, but it's not an encounter. Add something else in there for the players to interact with that might be useful, or have a teaching moment with the player. So. All right, that's all of those things, and now we're going to get into the last part. All right, and the last part of this are the encounter tables in the back. I didn't take any pictures of these, but they have these. I think they're all D8 for each 4 sections. Let's see if we can bring it in there for you guys to see. Kind of, sort of. I can't get my direction. And there's some good encounters in here. I like some of these encounters. I like some of these encounters better than the ones that they features. But this is where I was talking about. I think the encounters that you write up some of the encounters that are stationary. They have a fixed location in one of those hexes, and then use some of these encounters as additional stuff as they're wandering through. And some of them play on one another. Like in the tamarack stand, you're going to find Malin down there instead of, I think she was up in the woods or something like that. No, she was on the trail. And the character Malin, on daytime hikes, she tells them that the pine seeds found throughout the region are delicious, and the pine seeds that they encounter in the booklet. Well, I'm sure she would tell them which ones it was, not just pine seeds, because she'd have something with the red ones. Great stuff, and this is some of the information I think that's important. But this means you have to, one, roll a random encounter, have one come up, and then you have to roll that information in there. I think that information should be with her in that set encounter, or an option of some of the information she has. And then there's another one about Prawl and the 3 bandits sing merrily in a clearing. If Prawl is defeated earlier, the bandit leader has his twin brother Drawl. Okay, why do they always have to rhyme? Its characters have one or more musical instruments. The bandits are friendly and invite the characters to perform. Otherwise, the bandits are hostile and attempt to rob them. In my game, if you bring in an instrument in there, everybody will attack you to kill you immediately anyways. So yeah, I would run that encounter much differently, and God forbid you try to sing. Then players around the table are allowed to pelt you with D4s. So yeah, but overall, I think the wilderness section isn't too bad. I think there's definitely some room for improvement. I want to see more of that connection with what they've built in the keep to the wilderness, and then of course ultimately have that lead into the Caves of Chaos, because I don't think they've provided enough information in these first two settings or these first two booklets to allow the players to make informed decisions for the Caves of Chaos, especially for beginning characters. You want to give them that information so they can have a choice. Are we going to do the Goblin Cave? We saw 4 or 5 goblins going in that one, and maybe we only saw 2 hobgoblins going in this one. Well, the hobgoblins are tougher; they're lesser. There are fewer there. So, give them some information and let their minds do some problem solving for you. All right, well, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for listening. Next video, I don't know how long it's going to take to do the Caves of Chaos. It's the biggest booklet in there. I'm thinking I'm going to try to get it all done in one video and kind of go through each section of caves through there. But it might be split up into 2 depending how long it is. So, all right, everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you're having a great day and you're gaming like crazy. So take care and don't roll like me.